This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, true seekers and true crime junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road, Jack, Finding the Zodiac. Today, I'm going to start out with a sponsorship shout out to Dr. Monica Crooks. She is not only a longtime friend of almost 30 years, but also my dentist. If you're looking for a dentist in the Sacramento area, I suggest that you look her up. I have maintained a relationship with her as a dentist and as a friend for more than 30 years, despite the fact of having insurance that would have sent me somewhere else. I have always maintained a cash patient relationship with her because she is such a good dentist. I just can't imagine letting anybody else inside my mouth. So for anybody who's looking for a great dentist in the Sacramento area, please reach out to Dr. Monica Crooks at 931 Howe Avenue in Sacramento, California. And her number is 916-922-2027. One of our sponsors is also Harriette Sucher. She sponsored us for this year. Monica is helping out with obviously this next year. So we'll be running another year after December and hopes to get all of this information on the Zodiac and Jack out. I'd like to welcome onto the show today, Harriette Sucher.
I'm back. I tried to get better lighting, but
that's okay. That's okay. Nobody's concerned about the lighting at this point. They want to hear what you have to say. And of course, we're going to be.
I'm not wearing the scarf today. It is.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay too.
People blobs, whatever.
Okay, let's just stick to
stay focused.
We're going to get stay focused. We're going to get on to the 340 Girl Cipher solved by Harriette Sucher. We also have Nolan Del Campo with us again today. Good morning, Nolan. Loving the tie-dye again.
Every Friday it seems like I have a tie-dye.
You know it's going into the weekend time. All right, so I left off obviously last week with the period 19 solve from Orange Hack, and we're going to step back into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to mention a couple of YouTube and LinkedIn messages that had come in. This one by Mr. X, he must have taken it down. I've seen this happen a few times where they send me a message and then I can't find it when I go to YouTube to actually address it, but I do have the email, so I'm going to read it off. He said, please let me make another comment. If the Zodiac created an alphabet, it could throw AI off, especially if others were involved. I don't think writing will provide a solution. I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few alphabets. Usually writing experts go after matches. I don't know that this guy understands what a document examiner does. We don't go after matches. We look at a handwriting sample and we determine what the characteristics are by mapping out their memory movements and to determine how they write. Then we take that information and we compare that to an unknown sample of handwriting to determine if those characteristics exist in there. And they can be matches and they can be dissimilarities. So as far as his statement that we usually go after matches, that is completely untrue. It's almost impossible, he says, when you create an alphabet because it's an alphabet. I don't really understand what he means by that. A person still writes the way the brain writes. I'm skeptical when there's a big match with writing. My final prediction, the last name of the killer has the name of one of the animals in the Zodiac, like Taurus, and he left that section blank, as if he's indicating that the word bull, because that's the only thing, wouldn't you think? Taurus the bull, Taurus the...
I just think it's bullshit.
Well, I was interested. I thought it was coincidental that he said like Taurus, because we know one of the symbols in the My Name Is cipher is a Taurus symbol, and Taurus is actually really close to Terrence, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And
I said, he was genius for picking that animal out, because I do think that there's some heavy relation or link to this, and we're going to be talking about the My Name Is Cipher somewhere down the line. He said somewhere in the name is something like Taurus the question mark. His symbol is really an AGLA money talisman. Does anybody know what that is?
No.
Okay, I'm going to have to do some research on it. He says the cross symbol comes from the AGLA talisman. Now, Vincent Holguin had sent me a message on LinkedIn saying the Zodiac killer mailed out 26 letters. Now, I don't know this to be true. I think there's a lot more than 26. I don't know which 26 he's referring to, but as a set, he says they are a pun about something called the A1Z26 code, which assigns a number to every letter based on alphabetical order, A1, B2, all the way to Z26. In other words, 26 letters in the mail equals 26 letters in the alphabet. Let's talk. Now, I thought that was interesting, because if it was a simple numerical transposition, then we would have solved all of these ages ago. So I told him, explain your stuff to me. I think he's left me some messages. I do need to get back to it, but I don't really see how a simple substitution of numbers for letters is going to solve this, considering we were dealing with symbols, not just letters, right?
yeah,
Correct.
sometimes there's symbols, sometimes they're letters. It's how the
Sometimes they're backwards letters, which again is a symbol. Like I don't know.
That's where
I'll update.
comes in, where he's saying that the backwards P can be a 9 and so on, and then it goes into so many tier systems. Anyway,
Right.
So, yeah.
And he broke his down into 3 sections, just like Oranchak did. I found that extremely interesting. And in the first section, he was able to come up with a solve. In the second section, he said it was gibberish. And then the last section was the last 2 lines, identical with what I think Oranchak has a hold of his stuff. And I think this is how Oranchak came up with it, because Oranchak alluded to, on the episode of The Hunt for the Zodiac, which is a docuseries, or they absolutely used one of Lauren Swearingham's finds to see if they couldn't find the body of Donna Lass. So obviously they have latched onto his work, and in some areas we see that last week
seeing what I'm seeing too, and I have the book.
Well, that the words actually match up between some of the words that Oranchak found and some of the words that Swearingham found. Either way, I think
that they're using his system. That was
I do too. I absolutely do too. And then taking credit for it themselves. Now, I also got a reach out from Moonlight, who had indicated she was very interested in talking to Sandy Betts because of this picture right here on the screen of this white vehicle that Sandy said would park on the corner and stalk her. And then I realized when I was looking at it, I was like, holy crap, I think that kind of looks like a car that Jack had. And when I went back to the picture, as I'm trying to put it together, we see that thin silver bumper that goes just beneath the headlights. There's 2 round headlights, and we see this dip down in the hood right here after the second headlight inward. And that's exactly what we were looking at over here in this picture. So I'm going to do some more work, see if I can identify this car. We do have a license plate here. Talk with Sandy, see if we can get some better images and maybe make out what that license plate is. But we definitely have a lookalike in cars here that's a possibility that she was literally being stalked by the Zodiac. We'll see. I think that this is a little pre-Zodiac era, this picture. I'm going to also have to figure out if I can date this picture and see when this picture was, and in relation to whether or not Jack would have had that there car. Anyways, as we got back into Oranchak stuff, we saw in the first section that after he did the period 19, which was starting with the left top corner of the cipher and then working over to down 1, over to down 1, we could see that he was coming up with these letters and this message. And this is indeed the first third of the messages. And he obviously puts out the version that the period 19 came up with. So you can see that this differs from the beginning of the 340 cipher. That brings me into the second half of it, just like we were talking about, where Swearingham wasn't able to make anything but gibberish as well, even though Oranchak actually came up with 4 words inside of here. And we can see there are others he hasn't highlighted at this point, but we could also see that it's really not making any sense to a certain degree. And when he actually puts the second section up, he puts it up in a normal fashion. So it is following the actual characters that are found in the 340 as they are on paper, which that didn't make any sense to me because I thought that should have been period 19 too, right? I mean, that should have looked different after he compiled those, but it doesn't. So if he's running it from left to right, that means that he's changed from period 19 in the first section to the strict meaning of the cipher in the second. So I'm a little confused, but we did see that that was also off by the time we hit that second section. He was skipping over 3 and down. It was no longer the over 2 down 1 as we talked about last week. Now, the changing the letters to what they believe it is because it's not yielding a message based on the period 19 system is nothing short of what Swearingham did. He went at it phonically. So we can see that, so hen, that makes no sense. But we see that now he's changed that to so her because e now. And of course, that then, oh, let's see here. That then turns into so her because e now have enough slaves to werve for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I now that my new. And that takes us to the last section, which is the last 2 lines. The third portion was treated in a left to right manner, not like the period 19. And it actually yielded, if I follow the number system down here, it makes absolutely no sense. And it does not follow the period 19 thing, even after the interruption of going 3 over instead of just 2 over. But applying his solve or his substitution of letter to the symbol, it does actually yield a message. He says, because I am not, so they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life is, so he's starting, life is actually begins that third section at the 2 on the bottom. And then you can see after he decodes it based on his symbol letter solve, it actually spells a lot of words. Backwards is life, forwards is will, B is backwards, An is backwards, easy is forward, 1 is backwards. So you kind of get what I'm saying here. But what he came up with, life will be an easy one in paradise, death. Very interesting that so many different types of, I can't even think of the word. What would you call it? Harriette, help me out. So many. Well, like the first section being period 19, the second section not following period 19, and the third section. Like he used so many different. What's that?
Yeah, he's mixing
methodologies. Yes, he's used so many different methodologies for making that solve. Is it truly a period 19? Because now it starts to sound to me like it's a combination of different methodologies.
Correct.
What I thought was interesting is that he says, now my new life will be an easy one in paradise death. And Harriette and I know, because we've been to South Lake Tahoe to check out one of her solves, that there was a Paradise Hotel in South Lake Tahoe, correct? I think she froze up. Oh, no. Anyways, we visited South Lake Tahoe. Yeah, she's probably going to try and correct that. There was a Paradise Hotel spelled exactly the same way, Paradice, in South Lake Tahoe, where we know the next victim goes missing, which is Donna Lass. So I wanted to show you guys some of I wanted to wrap a timeline around this so you could see what was going on. But the 340 follows the article by Hearst San Francisco Examiner telling Zodiac to go get a new life. And then let's consider the message, my new life will be an easy one in paradise as solved by Orangechak. On July 31st of 1969, the 408 cipher first mentions reborn in paradise, which is the first reference to paradise ever. And reborn could simply mean that he moved there. Wouldn't you think?
Perhaps.
Are you still? Yeah, it could. I'm just saying, as a theory. On October 21st in 1969, the San Francisco Examiner says, go get a new life. On October 22nd in 1969, the Jim Dunbar show, the caller from Napa State Hospital occurs. And of course, somebody is trying to take credit to maintain or make it look like that the Zodiac is still in the Bay Area. On November 8th of 1969, the 340 cipher Orangechak says, my new life will be an easy one in paradise. So I know that by at least Christmas and winter of 1970, we have pictures of Jack in South Lake Tahoe with his daughter Lana, who worked at the Sahara Casino, which is where Donna Lass was last seen before she went missing. And on September 6th of 1970, Donna Lass actually goes missing. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the July 26, 1970 Buttons letter, says that he has 13 slaves waiting for me in paradise. Which could indicate he has those slaves waiting for him in South Lake Tahoe. September 6th of 1970, Donna Lass actually goes missing. October 5th of 1970, we have the 13th victim card. So he actually skips writing about this until later. On October 27th in 1970, the Halloween card comes in claiming 14, mentions paradise again, and it is never mentioned again afterwards. So it makes me believe almost the reference of he's going to be reborn in paradise, that his new life in paradise is an easy one. He has slaves waiting for him in paradise, and then paradise is the cross symbol on the back of the card, which includes the words by gun, by rope, by knife, by fire. And then on March 22nd, what's that?
I was going to say, paradise can also be a double or triple entendre. So I think it also does have a meaning for paradise as the afterlife, truly the afterlife. Because
but he spells paradise the wrong way. The fact that it's spelled the wrong way consistently in every single in every single one. Harriette and I have long since thought paradise meant a pair of dice, which would make a relation to a gambling area.
Yeah,
right.
Motel. It's the motel in South Lake Tahoe.
Right. Exactly. And I was trying to say that before you got cut off, that you and I both visited South Lake Tahoe based on one of your solves, and we found the Paradise Motel, which back in the day before they built up around it, you could literally see the Sahara Casino from it, correct?
And you could see out to around
exactly
there that was being built. Okay.
Right. So on March 22nd, 1971, we finally see the 12th victim sought, which everybody assumes is Donna Lass, who went missing. And Jack goes to San Jose for court when this letter is actually mailed. So he is not in South Lake Tahoe. We know that on this particular day, on March 22nd of 1971, he has gone to San Jose, which means he could have very well have mailed this particular letter from, where was that? Pleasanton? I think that's where that one came from.
On the way to San Jose.
Right. So this could mean that the Zodiac is answering the San Francisco Examiner article to say that he is in South Lake Tahoe, and Jack is already making his appearances there at his daughter's home by Christmas of 1970. Paradise is a hotel in South Lake Tahoe, and Paradise can also allude to, and I'm sure that in South Lake Tahoe, if they named the hotel Paradise, their pun or play on it was paradise, like gambling.
Yeah.
I also took a look at the key code for Orange Shack Solve, and I found that the monogram that I keep insisting is Jack's monogram, because it is the sign off as indicated by Orange Shack and the Hunt for the Zodiac. They believed that the last two symbols were the sign off of the killer, and I've always asserted, and Harriette's always asserted, that this is Jack's monogram, which actually makes a J, also makes the W at the bottom, and then makes the T at the top. That symbol coincidentally relates to the letter T. I don't find that a coincidence at all. And when you look at these just plainly based off of the cipher at the end, you see what almost appears to be the Zodiac symbol, the word Zodiac, and then the sign off, which would be in the monogram plus. And that monogram plus in my mind is Jack is the second. Jack is a junior, so it wouldn't be J.W. Terrence. It would be J.W. Terrence the second or plus. So let's see here. Paradise Death. So he basically came up with, I'm not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one, in Paradise Death. When I finally got on the air for this particular case and started showing everybody what it is that I had always swore once I got a chance to tell the truth that I was going to get a tattoo that was relative to what I have done or the work and effort I've put into this. And this is actually what I ended up doing. I don't know if we can see this from here, but I actually had the, sorry, I haven't written in a while. I've washed my pen and I can't do a thing with it, which I thought actually to be quite comedic, not related to the murders or obviously what the nastiness was about the Zodiac, but that as a handwriting expert, people really don't write anymore. So to me, there's a little pun there, but I also included in the center here the monogram, which I believe is a very significant symbol in all of these codes. I did actually find, yes.
It's also a reference to there was a commercial campaign back in the day in the late 60s, early 70s, shampoo. I just washed my hair and I can't do a thing with it. So that's kind of
I remember that. I do remember that.
So you're saying something about the pen? I'm now understanding.
No, I haven't said anything about the pen yet. We're going to get we're going to get to your stuff right after this slide and we can go into the pen. I did want to say that I made a statement that we didn't see any reach out from the FBI on Orrinchak's solve, that it indicated there was a solve. I did actually find an article in which Cameron Poland, a spokeswoman for the FBI's San Francisco office, in an email to the Chronicle, does state that this has been solved. Also, though, that it has no bearing on the actual case because it told them nothing other than things they already knew, which included no identification of the individual. And that brings us to Harriette. Okay. Here you go, girl. This is going to be your forum. I just wanted to show everybody that I did find about the transposition cipher, which the University of Babylon, another form of transposition cipher uses grills or physical masks with cutouts rather than a mathematical algorithm. This can produce a highly irregular transposition over the period specified by the size of the grill, but requires the correspondence to keep a physical key secret. Grills were first proposed in 1550, and that's what you found the 340 to be, correct?
Yeah, that it was, again, back to the Hunt for the Zodiac show. When I'm watching, they were saying that they're experts, which would include Orrinchak. Okay, got to say his name. but anyway, we're believing that this was possibly something like a grill cipher, that it goes on top of something, or chessboard cipher. So,
right.
So that's where I said, well, let's try it. Let's take this and put it on top.
And what'd you use? You used the hyphens, you used the period dots, you used the backwards letters. What did you use from that to make the grill?
Well, all I know is I remember, and I don't have it with me, but I have the first time of trying this. I used all the weird dots and blobs. See where there's just dots?
Yes.
There's like 6 or 7 of them. And then there's symbols that are like the Z408 that have dots in them. So I put it on top and it connected and hit with certain code symbols and code keys, and then following some cues and confidence from Lawrence Swearing and say, well, anagramming is going to play a large role in Zodiac cases. So
and it did, even from the beginning.
And then, well, I got something to the effect of, and it's not in this book, it just said something like, my name is Jack, ask JFK government, and the government was abbreviated. So I was like, oh, I got a message here. So let's try it. So then I was off and running, but then I was just at that point seeing, well, if this works, let's try this, let's do certain things. And then I ended up at some point on the dripping pen card, and it came out with amazing messages. I was like, wow, okay,
yeah,
this does work.
Did you use the actual grill on the dripping pen card?
I believe I did. So let's see.
Okay, so basically something that I have here from The World According to Jack Terrence by Harriette Sucher, the real Zodiac killer, Black Dahlia Avenger, Gat Hoffa squad member, and more. You had written at the top of here, Jack Terrence was living at the Paradise Motel at that time period. Also, if the name of Detective Herminghaus, SLTPD. Well, I tried to send this information to his cold case on last, but never got a response. Jack says where he put her in East State Line, Nevada, and is the roundabout near the Tahoe Justice Court. And that's where we went to visit, correct?
Mm-hmm. So he's saying, from what I got out of this, is that where she was initially put there, but I got some other solves where he moved her body. So.
Oh, yes. And we'll move on to those when we get to Donna Lass. Your initial message had something to do with Farron. Can you see what I have up on here? So you used a grill cipher, or did you use a anagram on this message inside the poison pen?
I think it's both. Let's see. It was from.
Okay, so you did the grill and then you anagrammed.
Yeah, because it seemed to definitely work. So this was.
Can you read that message to us? Oh yeah, you did say is an anagram. So from here, I jumped the dripping pen card and held the Z341 inside it. There are several messages starting with the envelope, and it has a lot to do with Darlene Farron and Donna Lass. Please rush to editor. Please rush to editor. San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco, California is an anagram. And in that anagram, can you read to us what message you got from that?
It says Farron used last time card to shoot Robert Kennedy in a Catholic hospital. Use of car and 200 drops in a 10 cc needle is standard operating procedure to kill the registered nurse.
So he was going to use, you're saying, basically the same thing she used.
Yeah, to get even. He's under Nixon. This is an execute order under Nixon. Okay.
And let's say this. So Farron, you say, used Lass's time card and possibly her uniform to impersonate a nurse and go in and finish off RFK, who had made it to the hospital and was still alive at that point, but then ultimately died in the hospital.
Yeah, the story is, and you'll read about it everywhere, and even in documentaries, he survives the shooting at the Ambassador Hotel. He makes, and he's even talking, is everybody okay? So then he goes to the hospital, to the Samaritan Hospital. He survives the emergency surgery, but he doesn't survive the ICU. And then there are shots that are different in his head. That's why Mel Belli took the case for Sirhan, because the bullets that happened in his head that they found didn't match the bullets. It was obvious that he was shot in the ICU
by somebody else.
So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So then you went on. Go ahead.
I think the shots might be referring to a needle shot.
Right.
I think it would be almost possible to get a gun.
He's going to shoot her twice in a certain way with the needle. Oh God! So
we go into it. We go into an entire section of murders that are listed as suicides by poisoning or by drugs. Nimbatol. What was the other one? There was another drug that was being used for Eva Blau and some of these victims. It was mescaline.
Oh, yeah, from peyote buttons.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
And in peyote buttons, there's certain levels of strychnine in there too. So, you just overgive them.
Overdose them.
It's going to come out looking to some of the pathologists of the day as strychnine poisoning. But
gotcha.
Peyote buttons.
I think
now
with Dorothy Kilgallen, it might have been Seconal as well as one of them they were using.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely fitting in with what we see that's going on with these suicidings, if you will, along with some of these deaths. They declared, like I think Eva Blau, they declared that she had done too much drugs, fell over in the water, hit her head, and died. But obviously, that was subject to, there were other belongings and other things that were found at the crime scene, which would allude to the fact that she was not by herself. Now, another one of the solves that you had on the grill cipher was this one message where, can you see what I have up here with the I, John W. Terrence? Can you read that?
That was amazing. It's using it as a grill cipher and then anagram anyways, it says I, John W. Torrance, Paradise Motel and Black GT Lass give DF, which is Darlene Farron, use of LGH, which is Letterman General Hospital, suit, shot RFK. Okay, even, it's got the equal sign. So that means even September 7th, ESY, which is East State Line Y. So then I'll make it easier. And now it says in a clearer message, it says, I'm John W. Torrance, living at Paradise Motel. I drive a black Gran Torino. Donna Lass give Darlene Ferrin use of a Letterman General Hospital suit, and she shot Robert F. Kennedy. Okay, we'll get even September 7, East State Line Y. And that's, of course, in 1970. So,
and she went missing on September 6th. So that is as if to say or predict as of November 8th, when this letter comes out, that he's going to be. Wait a minute. So this is afterwards. He's telling it in hindsight, because this came out November 8th and she went missing September 6th. So we'll get even, or he has already gotten even, correct?
Yeah, he's pretty much getting even.
Just on a side, we know that area well. We walked around it for like an hour one night. The
yes,
Y
we did.
there, 89, right
well, we didn't actually make the roundabout. And what was interesting about our trip up there that particular day is that when we followed the solve that Harriette found, it led us strictly to a roundabout that used to be used way back in the day, but they now diverted the traffic around it, so you don't use it anymore. When we got there, it had 2 giant boulders in the center of it and a dead jackrabbit at the base of it. Me and Harriette just about fell out. Like, are you kidding me right now? And as we stood there at those rocks, we could visually see the sheriff's department or law enforcement office directly ahead of us, as if they are there to sit and babysit and watch those rocks so that they are never touched. So I often wondered, is that where Papa is, in cement?
That's where he says that he puts Papa there briefly too. But do you remember when we were filming? You know, and I'm just trying to make a kind of a service so we can get past things. And I said, I know, Jack, I know you killed Donna, and you're getting even, blah, blah, blah. And I went to throw flowers that I just picked off to the side onto Donna, where Donna Lass is supposed to be. There was no wind. And those flowers went flying off the rock. Like, no, the bitch don't deserve flowers. I was like, okay.
All right, we got you. Another one of the things.
I'm seeing a lot more about why he can't stand these people. But anyways.
Right. Another one of the things that you'd found is that there was actually almost even a radian theory inside of the 340, correct? If you use the center dot as the Mount Diablo base, those radians would go out and come over the top of the period dots and the hyphens that are found throughout the message.
Yeah, I was finding something very interesting there. And so...
I think you said something to the effect of radian.
Yeah, so it's fitting somebody else's radian theories, but I don't know if we're going to be talking about what I got in Dennis, the original book of Orbis Cipher, which hasn't come out. We're going to try to do something. Anyways, let's just imagine that this is the satellite looking down. Did you know that and I have it in here, where Dealey Plaza is and where all those people were shot in all the shootings and so on and so forth? It's almost as if they're planning to make sure that these people that they're going to get had jobs in certain areas, and it would match that also, which is in radians.
Well, I don't have a lot of time to go into Dealey Plaza because we still have several slides for you.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's in the center, and then it's really strange how it does fit. It's like where these
it is fitting on the radians for sure. Yeah. I think what was stated underneath that was the radian theory Cartesian plane sits perfectly on 340 Cipher, where the dots are located once you turn it upside down. Looks just like the version I have on PhotoBucket, and that was thanks to Cat's Eye, aka Harriette Sucher. I did find an article in regards to this, and this is what amazes me. By all of a sudden, the FBI is willing to concede to Oranchak's solve, because it states in this article, photocopies of the new cryptogram were sent to Washington, the National Security Agency, and the Central Intelligence Agency assigned their top men and their most sophisticated code cracking computers to the latest cipher, but to date it still remains untranslated. Supposition is that there was never any message at all, that the Zodiac merely composed a hodgepodge of letters, knowing an immense effort would be undertaken to unscramble them. So I think it's hilarious, 50, 60 years later, somebody who is not the top in code breaking, not the top in the CIA, not the top in Washington, or what else did they say? National Security Agency, the NSA. Somebody who is not any of those people has miraculously come to some solve that's now being accepted by the FBI. Very strange. All right, that brings us to your Orbis Signifer book in regards to the 340. In which case you found that there was a correlation to the actual greeting card, the buy forget-me-not cards. And I'm not sure, well, it looks like while Lauren took a shot at the cipher, you, Harriette, had extended your ciphering skills to the homemade greeting card and the 340 cipher, and you came up with some information in regards to the greeting card, correct?
I believe so. So let's see.
There was something about Camelot, Kennedy's, Cold War romance, intrigue, and forget-me-nots. Can you briefly tell us what that was about?
Well, let's see. The Poison Pen Decoded. I came up with something that was very strange. It says, sorry I haven't, which I grant ye if ye came at midnight, but now I haven't the convenience of supplying your wants. Written back, Book of Secrets. I'm going to confuse the hell out of people right now. But
right? I'm confused.
But it's saying that that I next was the odd place due with parenthesis, and I was just finding something by mixing two systems together. So that was the Poison Pen card decoded. That was just another version. And it was
so basically the gist out of that is Jack is giving, and I say Jack, John, and I use them intermingled because he used both, was basically stating that he was living at the Paradise Motel, and that at that time he was driving a black Gran Torino, and that Donna Lass gave Darlene Farron the use of her suit and her time card in order to get at RFK. So the next stuff that we were talking about the Camelot, Kennedy's, Cold War romance, intrigue, and forget-me-nots, everybody can go back, pull this up, enlarge the screen, and take a read on some of the information that Harriette found in regards to the actual greeting card itself that she thought was very pertinent to the case itself. But you did come up with Poison Pen card decoded. Let's see. Sorry, I haven't, which I grant ye if ye came at midnight. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's where it says, sorry, I haven't. And then I fill in something that says, oh, come on now. Yeah, sorry, I haven't. And then it just says filling that I am ignored in Book of Secrets by Forget-Me-Not cards. Anyways, next was the odd place due, and I with parenthesis and duus odium, that's due. That basically means one deity, Christian God, and odium basically means theological dispute. So hatred, add this to the symbol Zodiac, the eye over the pyramid, which is the, oh my God, which meaning, well, Zodiac as the capital of Washington, D.C., and it's just saying something about I could over theology dispute money God that rules my judicial council. Next is the July mean Godfather, August means venerable, September is SEPT is abbreviated for Irish Sept, and then it's just something that seemed to flow. That he's saying a lot, and it's true that Washington, D.C. is designed as the Zodiac. It's designed by Charles L'Enfant. Just wait until you see the other decos I got saying the same. He's saying that there's some things going on, and they're using this system that's based. It's a couple hundred years old, And that's how come a lot of people can't use computers to solve this. You have to do it by hand. Trust me.
Gotcha. So we're continuing with next up, October equals 7, octal money system using 0 to 7, and our dollar system uses 8 numbers.
Yeah. Oh my God, the dollar system using 8 numbers. Hold on a second. Now I'm mixing. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, using 8 numbers. Would that be?
It's what you were just reading. Next was the odd place DO with 1 parentheses, or dies odium, and that with the symbol of the zodiac, the eye over the pyramid plus thing meaning. Well, Zodiac as the capital, Washington, D.C., that's how I came up with I could over theology dispute money god that rules my judicial council. Next was the des, or Latin French means the. July can mean godfather. August basically means venerable. September is I recept. Next up, October equals 7, octal money system using 0 to 7, and our dollar system uses 8 numbers. Does that make sense?
She froze again.
All right. You also came up with a message. I did lose her. Darn it. All right. Well, I'm going to continue on. She actually did a spinoff of Swearingham's information, and she took what he had come up with, the "you in fact got nothing and I get annoyed" message from Lauren Swearingham. She came up with the end is actually the key. So the ooh, I got you. Let me see if I can figure out what it is that she meant. Sorry again, be back quickly. The end is the key. That key part Code Angel Swearingham came up with, but got stuck after finding phonetic Jack Tarrant's name. Claimed he contacted the FBI and got nowhere with them. Definitely contacted Nanette Bartow late 2013 and then me. His interpretation of most of the 1 through 13 part of the 340 differs from mine. The rest of the 340 was determined to be an anagram as a collaborative effort of Nanette Bartow, Swearingen, and I, because it was found after getting Jack's MK Ultra digraph system keys found in the Zodiac My Name Is code. So she basically came up with lines 1 through 13 from Lauren Swearingham's here. Is she came up with "you in fact got nothing, Kennedy annoyed, inside you die, the ID or caught." Again, you say when the game's once again softy. I don't understand any of this. I hate you don't you know it. Should I go kill you? So you say no end of me. AW Jack Terrence, once sweaty, nasty, good and tight. My name is Zodiac. The end. Again, I'm coming up with gibberish in my mind. How about you, Nolan?
Yeah, I have no clue what that means.
I don't either. And then of course 14 through 20. She comes up with "you catch what is funny. I am Zodiac. JF Kennedy, Judy Ann are sane. Don't assume a mad dog is what you got. E Hunt. Gray is 88 data. Ooh, I got you. I do kind of know a little bit about this stuff.
E Hunt would be E. Howard Hunt, who is a Watergate plumber, and also he's a suspect in the JFK assassination.
Harriette looks like she's back, so hopefully he can get her thrown back on there.
Oh, weird. Okay, we're talking, and then it hit again.
It's gone.
Okay.
So basically, we just covered some of the solve that you came up with after working off of what Swearingham had come up with, and the interesting part, we were just talking about the lines 14 through 20, where it says "mad dog is what you got." E. Hunt, because we know that he refers to a dog in the Darlene Gall and Sharp letter from the Scientology or Manson family members. And "don't assume" is another statement that has been made, and E. Howard Hunt was solved in the earlier solves by Swearingham, where he indicated that there was involvement with the CIA and MK Ultra. Correct?
Yeah, something like that. I'm just reading this. Oh my God, he's bringing up about Judith. Judith Ann Baker. She was very, her name is Judith Ann Very, and then married a Baker at this time. But he's saying that they're not crazy. They were starting to do a whole bunch of stuff to people that were involved with trying to stop killing the Kennedys and who did kill the Kennedys. And, they got like what happens to those of us now. We get buried, they find weird things and they try to make you look crazy. So this is what's happening. And then he's saying, don't assume a mad dog is what you got. And then E. Howard Hunt, I got other decodes where he's working with E. Howard Hunt. So they're working together.
Correct.
And then Gray is 88 data. He's saying something about how the data is being, if I remember correctly, smeared a little bit. So you're not really seeing the truth. They're trying to create a smoke screen. And then he's saying, ooh, I gotcha. Because
What is ADA? What does ADA stand for?
I'm trying to remember what that is, but it's, we can try to look up the anagram, but it's a certain type of data that is designed to, if I remember correctly, make it look blurred, that you don't see everything, because they're seeing everything off to the side, but the public is not. So I'm trying to remember what the ADA means, but it's
look over here and not over here.
Yeah.
We'll give you just enough to go some direction with it, but not the direction we want you to go in, because we don't want you to know that truth.
They're controlling a lot of things there.
Well, we've got about 4 minutes left, so I thought I would pop in here, and I'll probably cover this next week with Terry as well. But Terry brought up last week in regards to the 340 cipher that there was a quadrant type method to this particular cipher. He indicated that Flova was found. Now, I'm not sure where I guess he's got the FLO. I see an upside down V, could be interpreted as an A, but I'm not sure how he got Flova out of that if we don't have both the V and the A, unless that is supposed to represent both of them. Over here, he believes that this Flova again, but again, this is to me like a greater than symbol versus an L, but I guess if you turned your head to the side, it would look like an L. Mm-hmm. So he believes that because you can actually find Flova, and of course, this one's on the border. It's not really inside the quadrant like I would have anticipated, but we find it again here. He keeps saying that it is the only repetitive symbols that are found in all four quadrants, which makes him think that you should be taking this a quadrant at a time. And he also says that based on the positioning, obviously the numbers across 17 being able to be split right down the center. But then I'm not sure how he split the 20 down. We're going to work. I will talk with him next week about that. But Flova does seem to come up a lot, does it not?
Oh, yeah. That was his mom's name. Ina Flova Ina. Trying to remember.
Ina Flova Barnett Terrence,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then, of course, she went on to marry after Jack's father had passed. But we did see Jack and... Yes. Yeah. And we did see Jack in the future actually use Barnett as one of his aliases. So he is back and forth using different names to identify himself depending on what it is that he's doing.
Can I make a point about the prior slide about Hunt and Gray?
And Hunt? Absolutely.
L. Patrick Gray was the Assistant Attorney General under Nixon. And then when Hoover died, he was the acting FBI director. He had to resign, though. L. Patrick Gray. The Gray referred to in the last slide next to Hunt, E. Hunt.
Oh, and let me go back.
He had to resign as acting FBI director is that he admitted destroying documents that he found in E. Howard Hunt's safe after Watergate.
Oh, holy crap. That just gave me goosebumps, Nolan.
Yeah, Hunt and Gray are... They're right there with each other.
So Gray is ADA, then that means he's the administration data.
So he admitted that's why he had to resign from the FBI.
Did you know that that's what your solve came out to say, Harriette?
All I know is I found some very coincidental things about what ADA could mean. So, but you
Right.
know, it's something in the government, but definitely. So he's blurring the data, or it's blurring the data, or it's destroying the data. Okay.
So but did you know that Gray was this former person that Nolan was just now talking about?
I believe I did know of the name, but I was also wondering, does this have something to do with Robert Gray Smith? Because his original
He
name
was also, he was also doing.
He was
But this is
originally
written a little
first
early,
and
right?
last
I
name
mean,
Gray. His original name was Robert Gray Smith, and then he
right.
changed
Gray
his
was the middle,
So
Smith
you
was the
got
last.
something- Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of play
So
of
you
words.
thought you were thinking Robert Gray Smith, and now Nolan has just put this together in something that makes a whole lot of sense
Gray.
there.
Makes
And
more
Gray-
sense.
Before he was acting director of the FBI, he was the assistant attorney general for the United States from 1970 to 72 under Nixon.
Assistant District Attorney, ADA. I knew I had heard this acronym before.
Yeah.
So Assistant District Attorney, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that's a synonym for AG, assistant AG. Because at a county level, it's a DA. On a federal and state level, it's AG. But that's what it means.
Okay.
That's interesting that the two of those actually match up to be
It was in
exactly
the civil
what it was.
division, and that's the data reference.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See.
Wow, you guys just give me goosebumps.
I never know exactly what I've got. I just put it down and I say, I know this is accurate, but here, that's the second time he's bringing up about
We are a minute past. You guys got me so excited on something brand new. We ran over. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. You guys are amazing together. I just love working with you, Nolan and Harriette. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk with you
I'm
next.
sending this to you. Okay.
Okay, I gotta go. We're past
Bye.
time. Bye, guys.
Oh,